I wasn't supposed to be there that night. Even now, thinking back on it, there were at least a dozen moments where I could have turned around. Times where something felt off, where my gut was practically screaming at me to leave. But I didn't listen. And that's the part that still messes with me the most. It started with a stupid idea. My friend Marcus had sent me a link earlier that week. Some local forum thread talking about an abandoned villa just outside a small town in upstate New York. The place had a reputation. People claimed it used to belong to a wealthy family that suddenly disappeared sometime in the early 2000s. No records, no explanation. Just gone. After that, the house was left to rot. Naturally, it became one of those places teenagers dared each other to visit. But the stories went beyond the usual creepy abandoned house stuff. People talked about hearing footsteps inside even when they were alone. Lights flickering, doors locking by themselves. Typical internet exaggeration, I thought. Still, Marcus and I had nothing better to do that weekend. We were both in our early 20s, bored out of our minds, and looking for something, anything, to break the monotony. So we decided to check it out. The drive there took about an hour and a half. We left just before sunset, figuring we'd arrive when it was getting dark. Marcus insisted it would make the whole thing more authentic, which in hindsight was a terrible idea. The town itself was small, like really small. The kind of place where there's one gas station, one diner, and not much else. Once we passed through it, the roads got narrower, more isolated. Eventually, GPS led us to Red Hollow Road. Even before we saw the house, something about that road felt wrong. There were no streetlights. The trees on either side leaned inward, their branches forming this tunnel-like canopy that blocked out what little light remained. Our headlights barely cut through the darkness. "You sure this is it?" I asked. Marcus checked his phone. "Yeah, it's like half a mile up." We drove in silence after that. Then, out of nowhere, the trees opened up, and there it was. The villa looked even worse than I expected. It sat far back from the road, surrounded by an overgrown yard and a rusted iron fence that had partially collapsed. The structure itself was massive, 3 stories tall, with cracked windows and sections of the roof caved in. It didn't look like a place people just left. It looked like something that had been abandoned in a hurry. Marcus let out a low whistle. "Dude, this is perfect." I didn't respond. There was something about the way the house stood there, silent, almost watching us, that made me uneasy, but I pushed it aside. I didn't want to be the guy who backed out. We parked near the broken fence and grabbed our flashlights. "Ready?" Marcus asked, already grinning. "Yeah," I said, though I didn't feel it. We climbed through the fence and made our way toward the front door. Up close, the villa felt even more unsettling. The front door was slightly ajar, creaking softly as the wind pushed against it. The wood was warped and splintered, like it had been forced open at some point. Marcus nudged it with his foot, and it swung inward with a loud groan. "After you," he said. I rolled my eyes and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. It was this damp, moldy odor mixed with something else, something faintly metallic, like rust, or maybe blood. I couldn't tell. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing a grand entryway that had long since fallen into disrepair. A chandelier hung crookedly from the ceiling, its crystals coated in dust. The floor creaked under our weight as we moved further in. "Man," Marcus whispered, "this place is insane." I nodded, scanning the room. There were signs that people had been here before. Graffiti on the walls, empty beer bottles scattered across the floor. But despite that, it still felt untouched in a way I couldn't explain. Like the house didn't want people there. We started exploring. The first floor had a living room, a dining area, and what looked like an old study. Most of the furniture was either broken or covered in thick layers of dust. At one point, Marcus found an old family photo lying on the floor. "Check this out," he said, holding it up. I walked over. The photo showed a family of 4, a man, a woman, and 2 kids. They were standing in front of the villa, smiling. But something about their expressions felt off. It wasn't obvious at first, but the longer I looked, the more it bothered me. Their smiles seemed forced, like they were trying too hard. "Creepy," I muttered. Marcus shrugged and slipped the photo into his pocket. "Souvenir." "Dude, really?" "What? It's just a picture." I didn't argue, but something about that didn't sit right with me. We moved on to the staircase. It curved upward toward the 2nd floor, the railing loose and unstable. As we started climbing, I noticed something strange. The temperature dropped, like noticeably. "You feel that?" I asked. "Yeah," Marcus said. "Probably just a draft." "Maybe." But it didn't feel like a normal draft. The 2nd floor was worse. The hallway stretched out in front of us, lined with closed doors. Our footsteps echoed as we moved forward, the sound unnaturally loud in the silence. Marcus tried the first door on the left. It creaked open, revealing what looked like a bedroom. The bed frame was still there, along with a dresser and a mirror that had been cracked down the middle. I stepped inside, shining my flashlight around. That's when I noticed it. The closet door was slightly open, and inside, there was something hanging. At first I thought it was just clothes, but as I moved closer, my stomach dropped. It was a rope, tied into a noose. "Marcus," I said quietly. He stepped in behind me. "What?" I pointed. He let out a low, "Whoa." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Marcus pulled out his phone. "I gotta get a picture of this." "Dude, don't. Relax, it's just..." Before he could finish, the closet door slammed shut. Hard. We both jumped back. "What the hell?" Marcus said. I stared at the door, my heart pounding. "Did you..." "No," he said quickly. "I didn't touch it. Neither did I." We stood there for a few seconds, waiting. Nothing happened. "Probably just loose hinges," Marcus said, though he didn't sound convinced. "Yeah," I said, even though I didn't believe it. We left that room after that. Neither of us said it out loud, but the mood had changed. The excitement was gone, replaced by this growing sense of unease. Still, we kept going. Bad decision. Further down the hallway, we found another room, this one smaller, almost like a child's bedroom. There were faded drawings on the walls, stick figures, houses, trees. But one drawing stood out. It was a picture of the villa, and in one of the windows, there was a figure, a dark shape standing there, watching. "Okay, that's messed up," Marcus said. I didn't respond. Because at that moment, I realized something. The window in the drawing matched the room we were standing in. I slowly turned toward the actual window, and for a split second, I thought I saw something move outside. I froze. "Did you see that?" I whispered. "See what?" I stepped closer to the window, my flashlight shaking slightly. There was nothing there, just darkness. "Never mind," I said, though my voice sounded tight. That's when we heard it. A sound from downstairs. A slow, deliberate creak, like someone walking across the floor. Marcus and I looked at each other. "You hear that?" he asked. "Yeah." We both stood completely still. Another creak. Then another. Footsteps. "Dude," Marcus whispered. "Someone's in here." My chest tightened. There was no way anyone else should have been there. "Maybe it's just the house settling," I said, though I didn't believe it. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, a loud bang. From directly below us. Marcus grabbed my arm. "We need to go. Now." I didn't argue. We hurried back toward the staircase, but as we reached it, we both stopped because the front door was closed. We had left it open. I swear we didn't close that, Marcus said. I know. The house was completely silent now. Too silent. Let's just get out, I said. We started down the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. When we reached the bottom, I noticed something else. The air felt thicker, harder to breathe. We moved toward the front door. And that's when we heard it again. Footsteps. Behind us. Slow. Measured. Like someone was following. I turned around. There was nothing there. But I could hear it. Getting closer. Open the door, I whispered. Marcus grabbed the handle and pulled. It didn't budge. It stuck, he said, panic creeping into his voice. Try harder. He yanked it again. Nothing. The footsteps stopped. Right behind us. I could feel it. That presence. Close. Too close. Marcus, I said. He turned to me. And that's when we both heard it. A voice. Right next to us. Low. Barely above a whisper. Why are you here? Marcus screamed. I shoved him aside and threw myself at the door, slamming my shoulder into it. Once. Twice. On the third hit, it burst open. We didn't look back. We just ran. We didn't stop until we reached the car. Marcus fumbled with the keys, nearly dropping them before finally getting the door unlocked. We jumped in and slammed the doors shut. For a second, neither of us moved. Then Marcus started the engine. The headlights flicked on, and for a brief moment, they illuminated the front of the villa. I wish they hadn't, because standing in one of the second-floor windows was a figure, completely still, watching us. Marcus saw it too. Go, I said. He didn't need to be told twice. We sped off down the road, not saying a word. We didn't talk about what happened for a long time. Not seriously, anyway. We joked about it, tried to brush it off as our imaginations getting the best of us. But deep down, we both knew something wasn't right. About a week later, Marcus called me. His voice sounded off. Hey, you still have that picture I sent you? He asked. What picture? The one from the villa, the family photo. I frowned. No? Why? There was a pause. I looked at it again, he said. And? Another pause. They weren't smiling before. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I mean, when we found it, their expressions were weird, but they were smiling, right? Yeah. They're not anymore. I didn't know what to say. Send it to me, I said. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. I opened the image and felt a cold chill run through me. Marcus was right. The family in the photo, they weren't smiling. They looked terrified. All of them. And behind them, in the window of the villa, there was that same dark figure, standing there, watching. We never went back. And I don't think we ever will. Because whatever was in that house, it knew we were there. And somehow, it followed us out. I didn't believe in bad places before that night. You know what I mean. Those locations people swear are cursed or wrong in some way. I always thought it was just people projecting their fear onto empty buildings. Old houses creak. The wind makes noises. Your brain fills in the rest. That's what I told myself when Tyler suggested we go out to Blackridge Lake. He had found the place through some local Reddit thread. Apparently, there was an abandoned villa sitting deep in the woods just past the lake, something that used to belong to a wealthy family who vanished sometime in the late 90s. No records, no explanation. Just gone. It sounded like the same recycled story you hear about every abandoned place. But Tyler was obsessed with stuff like that. "Come on, man," he said. "It's like an hour outside the city. We'll be back the same night." I should have said no. Instead, I grabbed my jacket and got in his car. It was late October, so the sun went down early. By the time we reached the outskirts of the town nearest Blackridge Lake, it was already dark. The kind of dark you only get outside the city. Thick, suffocating, like it's pressing in on you. The town itself felt off. There were barely any lights on in the houses we passed. No people outside. Even the one gas station we saw looked like it was about to close, even though it wasn't that late. "Feels like a ghost town," I said. Tyler just smirked. "Adds to the vibe." We followed the GPS until it eventually lost signal. After that, we were on our own. The road leading to the villa wasn't even really a road. It was more like a narrow dirt path cutting through dense forest. Trees lined both sides so tightly that our headlights barely reached beyond a few meters. Tyler slowed the car to a crawl. "You sure this is right?" I asked. "Yeah, it should be just ahead, somewhere." That wasn't exactly reassuring. Then, out of nowhere, the trees thinned, and we saw it. The villa sat near the edge of Blackridge Lake. Even in the dark, I could tell it used to be beautiful, and it was massive, built in that old European style with tall windows and stone walls. But now, it looked like it had been left to decay for decades. Parts of the roof had collapsed. The windows were shattered. The front gate hung crooked, barely attached to its hinges. And the lake behind it. It was completely still. No ripples, no sound. Just black water stretching into darkness. Tyler parked the car a short distance away. "Dude, this is insane," he said, already reaching for his flashlight. I didn't move. Something about the place made my chest feel tight, like I was walking into something I didn't understand. "You coming?" Tyler asked. I hesitated. Then I sighed and grabbed my flashlight. Yeah. The air felt colder as soon as we stepped out. Not just fall weather cold. Something sharper. We walked toward the villa, our boots crunching on gravel. The silence was overwhelming. No wind, no insects, nothing. Even the lake made no sound. "Okay, that's weird," I muttered. "What?" Tyler asked. "Shouldn't there be something? Like water moving or—" "Relax, man. It's just calm." I didn't argue, but it didn't feel normal. The front door of the villa was wide open. Not broken. Not forced. Just open. Like someone had left in a hurry. "After you," Tyler said, grinning. I shook my head. "You wish." He laughed and stepped inside first. I followed. The temperature dropped immediately. It was like walking into a freezer. I could see my breath as I exhaled, and I tightened my jacket around me. "Okay, that's not normal," Tyler said this time. No kidding. Our flashlights revealed a large entry hall, similar to what you'd expect in a place like this. High ceilings, a grand staircase, old furniture scattered around. But there was something strange. There was no dust. At least, not much. For a place abandoned this long, it should have been covered in it. But instead, everything looked disturbed, like it had been moved recently. "You seeing this?" I asked. Tyler nodded slowly. "Yeah. That's weird." We started exploring anyway. That was our first mistake. The main floor had a kitchen, a dining room, and what looked like a sitting area facing the lake. Most of the furniture was still intact, though worn and damaged. At one point, I noticed something that made my stomach turn. There were plates on the dining table, set neatly, like someone had been about to eat. "Tyler," I said. He walked over. "What?" I pointed. He stared at the table for a few seconds. Okay, that's creepy. Creepy? It's not just creepy, it doesn't make sense. No one's been here for years. Exactly. We both went quiet. Then we heard it. A faint sound. From upstairs. It was subtle at first. Just a soft creak. Then another. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Tyler looked at me. Tell me you hear that. I hear it. We both stood completely still, listening. The footsteps continued for a few seconds. Then stopped. Silence. Probably animals, Tyler said, though he didn't sound convinced. Yeah, I replied, not believing it either. We should have left right then. Instead, we went upstairs. The staircase groaned under our weight as we climbed. Halfway up, I got this overwhelming feeling that we were being watched. I turned around. The entry hall was empty, but something felt wrong. Dude, hurry up, Tyler said from above. I turned back and followed him. The second floor was worse. The hallway stretched out, lined with doors on both sides. Our flashlights barely reached the end. And that's when I noticed something. There were wet footprints on the floor. I froze. Tyler, look. He shined his light down. The footprints were clear, barefoot, and they looked fresh, like whoever made them had just walked through. Okay, that's not funny, Tyler said. I didn't do that. I know. We followed the footprints. I don't know why. Curiosity, I guess. Or stupidity. They led to a door at the end of the hallway, slightly open. Tyler pushed it open slowly. Inside was a bedroom. And at first, it looked normal. Just an old bed, a dresser, a broken mirror. But then I noticed the floor. It was wet. Not damp. Wet. Like water had been spilled everywhere. And the footprints continued across it, leading to the window, which was wide open. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. The window overlooked the lake. Black Ridge Lake. Still completely still. Except, it wasn't anymore. There were ripples. Small at first, then growing, like something was moving beneath the surface. Do you see that? I whispered. Tyler stepped beside me. Yeah, what the hell is that? The ripples got bigger, closer to the shore, closer to us. Then, something broke the surface. Just for a second. A shape. Too dark to make out clearly, but definitely there. I stumbled back. Nope, we're leaving, I said. Tyler didn't argue. We turned to leave the room, but the door slammed shut. Hard. We both jumped. Tyler rushed to it, grabbing the handle. It stuck, he said. Are you serious? I'm not joking. Before he could finish, we heard it again. Footsteps. Outside the room. Slow. Dragging. Stopping right at the door. We both went silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. Then, a knock. 3 slow taps. Tyler looked at me, his face pale. Who's there? He called out, his voice shaking. No answer. Just silence. Then, a voice. Soft. Right on the other side of the door. Let me in. I felt my stomach drop. That voice. It sounded wrong. Not distorted. Not deep. Just empty. Like there was nothing behind it. Tyler backed away from the door. What the hell is that? He whispered. I don't know. The handle started to turn. Slowly. Tyler. I see it. The door creaked open. Just a crack. Enough to reveal nothing. The hallway was empty. The footprints were gone. Everything was still.
too still. "This isn't real," Tyler said.
But I could tell he didn't believe it. We ran. Down the hallway. Down the stairs. Straight for the front door. But when we got there, it was closed. Locked. "Open it!" I shouted. Tyler tried the handle. Nothing. "Move!" I said, slamming my shoulder into it. Once. Twice. It didn't budge. Behind us.
We heard it again. Footsteps. Coming down the stairs. Slow. Dragging. Getting closer. I turned, and for the first time, I saw it.
At the top of the staircase, a figure. Tall. Too tall. Its limbs looked wrong, like they were slightly too long. It stood there completely still, watching us. Then it took a step down. The sound echoed through the house. Tyler screamed. I threw myself at the door again. This time, it gave. We burst outside into the cold night air. We didn't stop running until we reached the car. Tyler fumbled with the keys, nearly dropping them. "Go, go, go!" I yelled. He started the engine. The headlights flicked on, and for a split second, they illuminated the villa and the lake behind it. The surface was no longer still. It was moving violently, like something massive was thrashing beneath it and standing at the edge of the water.
Was that same figure watching us? We sped off without looking back. Neither of us talked much after that. Not that night. Not the next day. Eventually, Tyler tried to laugh it off.
Said it was probably just our imaginations. But I knew better. Because a few days later, I found something in my jacket pocket. Something I know I didn't put there. It was a small, damp photograph of the villa, taken from the lake. And in one of the upstairs windows, there were two figures, standing side by side, watching. One of them looked exactly like me.